No, it is, and I think the question was, one of the fellows that we interviewed a couple of years ago was a high-level government official from the Cuban government, and we were interviewing this fellow, and we sort of asking, what would you like? He had defected recently. Would you like to go back to Cuba? What role would you like to play? What changes would you like to see? His answer was kind of telling. He says, no, wait a minute. I have spent 40 years building socialism, and we have failed. I don't want to build anything else. I want to move to a ready-made country. Ready-made country. I don't want to build a thing. So that's part of the mindset, unfortunately, that we're going to see. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a Czech Republic transition. The other problem, and Lech Walesa in Poland made the comment, and when I talk about a parliamentary system, I think this is something that we have to keep in mind. He made the comment that if you get two Poles together, you have three political parties. Well, that's going to be about the same for Cubans. You get two Cubans together, you can have three political parties. Yours, mine, and ours. So that's going to be, but that's okay. Maybe that's part of the process. I'd rather have that than have the one-party system that we have now. So we'll do that. Anything else? Sure.
This concept that you're dealing with now is, in some areas, considered a denationalization, in which a certain percentage or part of the Cuban population has turned sour on the country. And, for example, on a number of occasions I have asked, what would you be doing? And I got exactly the same answer. Well, I'll be going to Miami. Well, why? He says, well, I've spent 40 or 50 years here, and now it's time, suffering, and now it's time for me to go. It would be an opportunity to go and enjoy a different system and abundance and freedom. And then he said that for you people in Miami who love Cuba so much, then you come and you build a new Cuba.
Well, if you look at the youth in Cuba today, and Joanny Sanchez writes poignantly and almost poetically in her blogs, the Cuban youth looks to change their life in 2 hours and get out of here. I'd rather change my life in 2 hours or in 10 hours if I go to Europe. That's the way to change, rather than trying to build a new country or anything. The youth is looking to leave the country. And, another problem related to that is going to be a brain drain at some point of engineers or technicians. We had a significant brain drain in 1959 with 61 when a lot of the middle class left Cuba. You may have another brain drain. Which, by the way, and this is why this is so important, the issues that I try to discuss in the book, and the issues are not just important for Cuba and for Cubans, they're really important for South Florida, because you're going to see all kinds of things happening when that kind of change comes. So it's important for us here as well. Anybody else?
Folks, we have time for one more question. If there's anyone.
What's your position on the embargo?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a complex question, but I'll tell you. I want to save a negotiating position to negotiate when the time comes with the Cuban government that is willing to negotiate. I am not in favor of the United States unilaterally, unconditionally, just giving up its foreign policy. Okay? If we do that now to the Castro brothers, it's not going to make any change. And then when we sit down, if 5 years from now there is a, one-star general that is the person in charge that is truly interested, I want to have something in my pocket. One thing that I learned in business is that if you sit down at the negotiating table with nothing in your pocket, you're going to get up empty-handed. So the effectiveness of the embargo is questionable and all that kind of things, and we can make all kind of arguments, but I would really want to hold that bargaining chip in my pocket until there's someone that I can play it with to move the process forward. And the second point that I would make on that, and it's normally not made in these kind of discussions, The embargo was imposed in 1961-62 by President Kennedy when the Cuban government expropriated American companies without offering any compensation and decided, I'm just going to take over these companies. That's the end of the story. The message then, 1961, was you cannot steal from American citizens without offering compensation. That message is still valid today. So, you just can't do that. The message would be, well, you can expropriate American companies, we'll punish you for a few years, and then at some point we'll forget. So, there are all kind of arguments. I do see arguments on both sides, but I am inclined to think, let's keep the bargaining chip until we can play it properly. It's not going to make any difference. The Cuban economy's disaster is because the system doesn't work. It has nothing to do with the embargo. In theory, Cuba can buy whatever it wants from any country in the world. The Germans make great computers and stuff like that. So the system doesn't work. So some people would argue that engaging, but what we have seen with the Castro brothers is we cannot persuade them. We cannot nudge them at all into making changes. I'll tell you what I would do. I would negotiate if we have to negotiate. And some things are very simple. Allow Cubans access to the internet. Just give me something. Release all my political prisoners and allow Cubans access to the internet. That would be something. And then we can bargain a little bit along those lines. Thank you.
Put two poles together and you get three political parties, but I think if you put three Cubans together, they throw a party. Isn't that right? All right, folks, we have Mañana in Cuba for sale at the counter in both hardcover and softcover, and Dr. Azel will be signing at the table here to my right, and thanks very much. Let's give him another hand.